45-ish.
Hmm?
Almost there. Oh,
All right, you ready?
and we are rolling.
4, what's your favorite type of meat?
My favorite
Like
type
favorite cut, maybe.
my favorite cut of meat would have to be, I think, a fillet. I like eating the whole thing. I like being able to smash the whole
I
thing.
always like that too.
New York strip steak is really good. I like to smash the whole thing of that, especially the certified Piedmontese.
Yeah, when
Oh
it
my
comes to the
gosh.
Piedmontese, I don't know if I've had everything that they have, but I've had a good wide variety of stuff. And I gotta say that Bravette. Am I saying that
Oh,
right?
bavette steak.
Bavette. There we go.
As long as you cut across the grain, against the grain,
So here's
it's probably the
here's
best steak they have.
here's what I did. You know, people get all upset about what you do with your meat, but they should mind their own business. What I do with bavette is I chop it up with scissors and I throw it in a pan, and it comes out amazing. See, when people don't understand the advantage, like somebody would have a heart attack if you were to cut up a ribeye with scissors and cook it, but it comes out so good. You can eat the whole thing every time because you can cut up some of the weird tissue
Mm.
that gets to be a little bit weird. But with this bavette, it was so tender, it was so good. It was like a fillet, but it's super lean. I absolutely love it. I just threw some salt on there, cooked it in some bacon grease, and I was good to go. It was amazing.
A beef strip loin is amazing too because you can cut that into like about 10 New York strip steaks. So if you have
Now you lying, bro.
well, if you're gonna have like a big barbecue or something, it's best to get a beef strip loin. It's $100 and something, but it's a big piece of meat. You know, it's like 6 pounds or 5.5 pounds.
Mm.
And I cut that up into New York strips,
Mm.
and those are amazing. And you can eat the whole thing. And they also have that big strip of fat across the back, which is really nice.
And then you have a ninja, right?
I have a Ninja Foodie Grill, which I think is the best. It's the biggest game changer of the carnivore diet for me because I'm single. I live by myself and I have to cook every meal. And cooking every meal gets to be a pain in the ass. But with this Ninja Foodie Grill, most things take about just 10 minutes.
Describe it to us. Like, do you put something into like a compartment or an oven, or is it just like a little grill?
It's like it's got a lid. So it's kind of like it opens up and you put your steak inside of it. And you need to let it warm up. So it warms up for about 10 minutes and then it gets to 500 degrees, which is nice because it'll give you a nice sear. Then you put the meat in there, close it down, and just let it crank. And it goes,
Is there a
anywhere
timer
from,
or something, or is it like
yeah,
just,
no,
you
it's
just
all set
kinda
up.
eyeball it?
No,
Type thing?
it tells you exactly how to cook everything. But
Ah.
I put a 3 pound tri tip in there yesterday, 2.5 pound tri tip. I put it in there for 10 minutes with the lid, lid closed, 10 minutes, boom. And then I took it out and I just let it rest for about 45 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes, something like that. And it just came out absolutely perfect. And it was kind of like cold. I like it, not cold, but I like it when it's
Room
not
temp.
super, super hot. And so I sliced it up after it was done resting and it was so juicy and flavorful. It's amazing. It's on my Instagram. You can go check it out.
Damn.
Yeah, I think knowing what kind of meat to get a hold of is really important. Like just knowing like where to shop for it, where to go for it, and that can be inconvenient. You go to the grocery store. Like I have Nugget down the street from me, and it's nice to have that there. And they have Piedmontese stuff, but they don't have everything all the time. But like you're the one that set us up with Piedmontese, and it's just great to have them shipping stuff to our front door. We don't need the inconvenience of being at the grocery store and then seeing other foods sometimes.
You know why
When you first start dieting, it can be tough.
why I found Piedmontese is I was at the store and I'm like, these steaks look so good. And I just asked the guy, what's the difference? I keep seeing this here all the time. He goes, oh, this one has about half the fat.
Yeah.
And I said, that's got to taste terrible. The guy goes, no, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
He's like, it has half the fat, but it's twice as tender. It's the breed. And I'm like, what kind of breed in this? He goes, it's really muscly. He was trying to explain it to me. I'm like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like
It's
I
the
know about
same-
these jacked cows.
Yeah, it's the same type of cow as in bigger, stronger, faster. It's a different breed. It's a Piedmontese instead of a Belgian blue. But I knew about the cows being leaner, having less fat, being more tender and stuff like that. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, I kind of know what this is. It turns out that a Piedmontese cattle, their beef is even more tender
Andrew,
than
can
a
you
Belgian blue or
can you
anything
bring
else
up
out
a
there.
can you bring up a picture of Chad Wesley Smith?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So I think that
Hey now.
to give people an idea of what these cattle look like, they look like the opposite of Chad Wesley Smith. So they look more like Nsima than they look like Chad Wesley Smith.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's our buddy Chad. We're friends with our boy
That's a
Juggernaut.
beautiful
or
picture of
our
him.
boy Jugs. You know what though? Honestly, Chad Wesley Smith's got some beautiful blue eyes. So he would be
He does.
he would be hard to take out. Like
He's
if he was
also a good actor.
if he was in the wild,
He's a good actor in his little skits that he did.
Oh yeah,
Like Schwarzenegger skits and stuff.
he's super funny. But yeah, in comparison, these Piedmontese cattle would look more like Nsima than they do Chad Wesley Smith.
So why are you bringing up Chad Wesley Smith? What's the deal with him?
Well,
Before we get to that, we need to drop our
Yeah.
discount code.
yeah. So higher protein, half the fat, all of the flavor, more tender than anything available. The absolute just second to none, best beef on the planet. That's certified Piedmontese. How the heck do you spell that? Well, that's PIEDMONTESE.com. Head over there at checkout, enter promo code Power Project for 25% off your order. And if your order is $99 more, you get free 2-day shipping. But also, we have a Jacked and Tan pack and a deluxe Power Project bundle that you guys can go check it out. It's some of our favorite cuts. And unlike any other bundle, our promo code actually works on those. So we're not just like, oh, come check out this bundle. Here's 25% off. And then you go to checkout and it's like, oh, the code doesn't work. No, it works on the bundle as well. So seriously, best beef you can get on the planet.
Go
and
use the code. Go rip them off.
Go
you
just steal 25% off, dude. That's like almost a quarter.
I think so. It's halfway there
Yeah, give or take.
from my math.
60%.
So what's the deal with Chad Wesley Smith?
He's angry for some reason. He came up here one day and he was in the gym and Nsima was working out too, and he's like, "Yo, bro, like I want to fight you." And Nsima's like, "What?" And then like I was like, "Hey, let's make it official," And so then I had him sign papers and stuff. Vince McMahon got involved, and now they have a match this weekend. They're gonna fight. They're gonna go at it.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Now, how
jiu-jitsu.
long has
Jiu-jitsu.
Chad been doing jiu-jitsu?
I
Quite
think
a
he's
while.
been doing it for like a week.
At least a
No,
week.
he's Chad. So Chad's been training in jiu-jitsu for a while, probably about 3 years. Natty Professor, probably about the same amount. Natty Professor is officially a purple belt, and I believe that Chad Wesley is officially a blue belt. But the belts don't really matter. We know people that have different belts, and sometimes different belts beat different people. Different dojos have different kind of rules of the quote unquote passing of the guard type stuff. And this is going to be awesome. Flograppling is the one who's going to be hosting it, so you can look it up online. You can check it out. But this is going to be sick. I haven't really heard of anything like this before.
Now, wait a second. This might be a dumb question, but is a purple belt above a blue belt or vice versa?
Yes.
I don't know.
A purple belt is above a blue belt. I believe you go purple, brown, and then black, I think.
I wouldn't know, but Nsima like barely makes the cut for like ultra heavy, because it's like I think he said it was 225, and then it's like open the floodgates. So Chad's gonna have a pretty good amount of weight on him,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And what does Chad weigh right now?
290. 290, 295, something like that. Yeah.
A biscuit under 300.
Yeah. He's
What was the big change for
he's a big one.
Chad? Do you know? Have you talked
He
to him
just got done with powerlifting. He just
He
kind of like
crushed it, though. He crushed
Oh,
powerlifting.
yeah, he was a savage. 970 squat, 573 bench, 815 or 830 deadlift. Absolute monster.
He also did a total, I believe, in the fastest amount of time or something. Like
Oh,
some
yeah,
weird,
yeah.
some weird internet trick, but it was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
2,000 pounds in a minute, maybe?
It was something. It was.
Was it 2,000 pounds in 1 minute?
He also
totaled
squatted like 500 for like 30 reps or something stupid. I mean, he's just a beast. He's got really good conditioning too. Like he would do a lot of training in like these condensed periods of time. What I'm excited about is this is like mutant versus mutant,
Yeah, that's really, really what it is.
An African American mutant versus a Caucasian mutant is a different thing, because
Chad Wesley Smith has done a lot of stuff, right? Like he's done, then he used to throw in college and stuff as well.
Mhm.
Like he's very athletic.
he's a crazy athlete. But what I always talk about, not always talk about, but I talk about here on the podcast sometimes is that, like our our answer to, someone who's insanely, like our answer to, like, I don't know, like LeBron James is like Gronkowski. Like it's just a different athleticism, right?
Yeah.
Or in basketball, it'd be like Larry Bird. Like Larry Bird probably weighed about the same as LeBron. He was probably about the same height, super athletic, an all-time great, but just a different skill acquisition, And LeBron is going to jump over everybody and smash on everybody, super explosive, and Bird has a different skill set. So I find it really interesting that, you have Nsima by the first glance, you look at someone like Nsima and you're like, wow, there's a great athlete. That guy looks like a complete savage, right? And then when you look at Chad Wesley Smith, especially during his powerlifting career, I don't think it's screaming to you that he's a great athlete. You're just like, oh, there's another fat guy who's losing his hair. But make no mistake about it, he is a mutant. He is a great athlete. And he's also, people say people are big boned. This guy is big boned. Like has really, really, his knees are so thick that when he was in school, he played like intramural basketball, and they wanted to send him home, and his mom came to the school, and the nurse was like, yeah, look at how swollen your son's knee is. I think he fell when he was playing basketball. And, I think that, I think he messed up his leg. And his mom said, no, look at his other knee. And he's just got big old fat giant kneecaps and wrists and stuff. He's just a big old kid.
Wow. So this is a straight up jiu-jitsu match. Is it a big tournament? Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, so I have it linked in the description, but there's a huge card. Let me pull this up.
And you can watch, we can watch this tomorrow?
Online, yep.
I
totally want to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, so it's Flograppling's Who's Number One and Fight to Win. So this is the full card. There's a shit ton of matches. And then, so the Fight to Win submission match, here's where, Nsima's here somewhere.
It's just awesome. I know he fights like a little bit later in the day on Saturday. Today is what, Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a main event? What's the main event? Anybody we know? Nicholas. No, I don't know who that is. Victor Hugo.
I don't know. I don't recognize the names, but obviously this is a huge event. Right?
Yeah, and this grappling has gotten really big. I know like Eddie Bravo has been putting on grappling events that are grappling only, and just grappling by itself has gotten really popular lately.
Yeah. Dude, my arms are still shaking from that workout, by the way. Like, I can't even click the mouse correctly.
It was a fantabulous workout. So Chad Wesley Smith is still young. He's 33 years old. We're going to do a little tail of the tape here. The Natty Professor is 27, and he's 6'2". Chad might be a little taller. I have him listed as 6 foot. He might be like 6'1". And then we just made some fun, silly stats for some of the rest of it. But like Nsima has deadlifted 755 in competition. He can't bench worth of shit. Chad is a really well-rounded power lifter, and like you put his numbers up against, some of our favorite lifters, some of the best, and he's like right there with a lot of guys. He was just an absolute monster when it came to powerlifting.
You'd say if he lays across Nsima's chest, he has a really good chance of winning because Nsima won't be able to get him off.
So here's the other thing is that Chad is brilliant. Chad is very, very smart. He's very successful in business. He's very successful in a lot of ways. He's somebody that, like, when it came to powerlifting, he came in and out of powerlifting so fast. Like, he came in and, like, dominated, and then he left. And then he started coaching people with his juggernaut system. But he trained me. He trained me to a 578 bench. He also trained me to a torn pec. So I don't know whether to love the guy or hate the guy. But all kidding aside, I mean, he's a very, very intelligent guy. Through his system that he has, I don't know the website, not sure of the app, but I think it has something to do with his juggernaut branding. And through that, he created AI, created some artificial intelligence surrounding programming for lifting. So the program that he created, it can kind of auto-regulate as you're going along with the program. You could be like, you're doing 5 sets of 5. As long as you kind of input the information on kind of how some of these movements went, it will give you the percentages, and it will give you the information for your next workout. So super precise, super detailed. And if he's going to be able to do anything to Nsima, I think, he might just have a cool game plan. And he might be able to use that part as his advantage of just being a very intelligent guy.
Who do you have your money on here?
You know, it's a great matchup, because like Nsima is really, really strong.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, like, I've never tried to grapple with Nsima, but I think he would just rip me apart, especially because I have no background with any of that.
I think both of the guys are capable of ripping your limbs off.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Both guys also are very calm. They have calm demeanor. Like, both guys can lift heavy weights with no music. They don't need to like rage out. And Chad was a big proponent of that in his lifting career, where he didn't get all hyped. He didn't take like pre-workout. He didn't. Now, one advantage I would say, and the people in this area might be mad at me for saying this, but like, I believe that Southern California may have access to some really, really good, talented jiu-jitsu practitioners, and I'm sure that NorCal has tons of great talent as well. But just think about, like, in terms of the amount of people in Southern California, and it's just kind of my basic understanding. I don't know shit about jiu-jitsu, but I do remember when we lived in Los Angeles that, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu was very prominent in the area. I don't know if that's still the case.
Hickson Gracie lives in Santa Monica. Like, that's
what I'm talking about.
The best of the best, right?
Yeah, it's kind of shit that I'm talking about.
Eddie Bravo is in.
I was actually
LA.
at this one right here where these guys are getting after. I got a chance to see Chad grapple.
I do think, however, like lately, things have gotten so big that there's really, really good people everywhere.
Oh,
like with the internet, with all the stuff that's going on,
100%.
And even with like bodybuilding, like it used to be like everybody trained at Gold's Venice. That's really changed now too, where all over the country, in every city, there's like a good kind of lifting and training, thing.
So these guys have never locked horns before. They've never come across each other's path before. So I'm really interested to kind of see, how it all goes down. But something else I wanted to talk about, like, really cool transformation for Chad. That's kind of what you were mentioning a little earlier. Like, yeah, what was the change for him? Well, I think he just kind of tapped out his potential with powerlifting and was like, hey, what's the difference between 970 and 1,000-pound squat? Like, do I really care about that much? And he had the intelligence to be like, you know what? I think I'm going to move on and do some other things. Most people don't get out of that sport.
It's hard though, because like I love to lift. Like, I love lifting. So it'd be hard to like not do a squat for like 2 years or something. Like I've been through those times before in my life, and they were the most miserable times of my life.
It's not hard for Andrew.
So for me, it would just be more tough to try to like not do something I really like to do.
So he still lifts and he could still throw down with some weights, but if you were to think about all the stuff that you're asked to do in these other sports, like, it's just not smart to be smashing yourself with lifting.
It'd be really hard to lift heavy and do good at jiu-jitsu, I think. Like,
yeah, and I know Nsima comes in here and he could still pull weight, but like, he's not going to be going. You just don't want to be overtaxing your system. Jiu-jitsu is going to take a lot out of you. It's a stressor. Exercise is a stressor. Life in general has its stresses, its ups and its downs. So, it just makes it maybe like too much at some point. One thing I do wonder, and I know from Chad's powerlifting career that he was taking his nutrition fairly seriously, but I wonder if there'll be any factor in there with that, because I know Nsima is very diligent with his nutrition. Nsima, eats once or twice a day. He does like a lot of fasting. He's got kind of a short fasting window. He does eat, he does have some carbohydrates and stuff like that in his diet. I don't know what Chad currently does, but I remember even when Chad was here, when he was powerlifting, he had prepared meals with him and stuff like that. He was kind of, eating, rice, potatoes, steak, and stuff like that. So I wonder if either guy will have an advantage with a particular style of diet or anything like that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Nsima is also very, what I like about Nsima, he asks a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
He's
very
always
inquisitive, yeah.
He's very smart and very intelligent as far as like providing information. But what I like about him, it makes me really kind of drawn to him, is that he's always
his eyes. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
Well, he always wants to know, like, well, how did you do that, or what did you do, or where do I get that book? Where do I find that? I think his
he likes to read.
never-ending pursuit of information is what makes him successful.
Yeah.
And what makes him, and then he takes what he learns that's good and he uses it, and what's not good he'll just get rid of, but
Both guys are coaches too, so that's cool. Both. I don't think Chad does that as much anymore, but both guys have like an online presence where they coach and they assist and they help a lot of people. So it's cool from that perspective too.
Yeah, what's amazing about Nsima is he never gets too up or too down about literally anything. It sounds arrogant when he pulls 725 and like, oh, I didn't even mean to do that. Cool.
yeah, whoops.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. But if you think about it, like, when he came in second place at Worlds, he was like, oh, this is just another step.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody else could have easily been like, I was so close. Like looking back at the tape, like there was a couple things that happened that were like, hey, that was kind of illegal what that guy did.
Yeah, you
but
never said like, oh, I won, or I should have beat that guy, or none of that kind of crap either, right? It was all,
Yeah. He
very
was
humble and very nice.
Exactly. He didn't get too down, but he also didn't get too like hyped on himself for winning the previous tournament, a couple months before. So I think that's also huge. So like almost like like he just there's no matter what happens, he's gonna be just fine. So I think that's amazing.
I think the way they both look at it too is no matter what happens tomorrow, they both learn from it, and they both grow from it and just keep getting better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be really cool. I if I'm gonna just pick, I don't want to bet against my boy, so I'm gonna say Nsima's gonna win. I can't imagine Nsima being tapped out. So from what I know of his practices and stuff and how everything's been going for him more recently, I can't see him getting tapped out, and I can't see him getting like outworked. I could be wrong, but that's kind of my take on it. I think that he's got, and I haven't seen Chad, grapple that much, but I just think that he has. I know he practices a lot, and I got to see him train firsthand, and I see him in here every day, and it seems like he's got all aspects of his game, just firing on all cylinders.
You never know, though. Look what happened to Cowboy.
Yeah, Cowboy.
He was firing on all cylinders too, and it's just sometimes the other guy comes out better, right?
Yeah, you never
know.
You never do know where this shit can take you. Who you got, Andrew?
No, just asking you about like you had mentioned jiu-jitsu for yourself a little while ago.
Yep.
What's new in that?
Yeah, just I've been training and I've been hitting up my yoga, and I've been running and doing some stuff. The one thing is I don't want to be super tired, so I know that from just doing it in the past, I just know that like there's a lot of repetition that's required of doing the movements and doing the exercise and stuff, and like I don't want to be blown up from doing like a warm up. And I know that they do a lot of drills and stuff when you first get there and stuff as a class, so I'm going to baby step my way into it, and I might have my boy Nico come in, maybe just show me some stuff. Like I know I sound like a bitch, but like really like even just like being on my knees like hurts. Even being on my knees on a pad hurts. So I don't have a lot of pain in my day to day. I got like a stiff left hip, and I got like a right elbow that's a little weird here and there, but I feel really, really good. I've gotten myself to a really good spot. I don't want to lose that. I want to make sure that I'm able to continue onward with that. And so I'm just trying to kind of train my way into it. I got some running scheduled tomorrow, and I'm really trying to be diligent with that. And I've been running for like the last 2 months, and now I finally feel like I'm getting a little bit better with it. I'm getting used to it. My body doesn't hurt from it. And I'm just going to kind of go from there and then kind of baby step my way in.
And boxing was more in your wheelhouse. Why the switch to jiu-jitsu?
I just been wanting to do jiu-jitsu for a while. Like I've been doing yoga, and I want to move better. Like I kind of, meet people make like a New Year's resolution, and that was kind of one of mine, was just to move better. That was kind of one of my things. I was like, I'd like to be able to move a little bit better. So, what am I doing for it is always the question. What do you like? Sometimes people are like, hey, I hurt my shoulder. And it's like, okay, well, you doing anything towards that? Are you getting any body work done? You're stretching, because you really should be doing probably 3 or 4 things almost every single day towards that. For me, with mobility, I'm still not stretching enough on my own and not moving enough on my own. But I'm incorporating more full range of motion stuff in my training. And then, doing yoga. And unfortunately, I'm only doing yoga like once a week, so I need to bump that up. It'd be nice to do it about twice a week.
How about you, Board? Did you ever box or do anything like that, like Mark?
No, I'm
No.
too grizzled for that. I
Even-
did some
I mean,
Played
wrestling.
football and wrestled. Yeah.
Yeah, I
There
did
you
like
go.
football and wrestling in high school, but the thing was like I could never run. Like I've never run in my life. Like I can't run a lap. So I've just never physically been able to run. So that sort of gets all that stuff,
Mhm.
out of it for me. Like the last thing
You could run a lap.
not really. Not without a ton of pain and not
You
with,
ran on the beach with me.
yeah, but not with any good form. My feet turn completely in when
Yeah.
I go to run. Like my ankles turn in and my feet hurt really bad. Like my feet hurt really, really bad just standing here. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think anybody will ever get chronic pain until they have it.
Mm.
People they'll never understand it until it happens to them.
Yeah, but if I
know?
recall, there was a certain someone named Chris Bell, like a couple months ago, that was having a hard time just walking around, doing our 10-minute walk.
Yeah.
And you've been walking your face off a lot lately. So is it getting better, or is
No,
it
it
just...
never gets better. It's just a matter of like the inflammation at the time. Like, does it hurt that day?
Mhm.
And so, like, I have to be on a carnivore diet to keep inflammation down. I have to take kratom. I have to do these things to keep pain at bay,
Mhm.
and sort of stop it. So, yeah, like it sucks because like I want to do that stuff. I'd love to try jujitsu. I'd love to try those things. The other thing that is like I know I could definitely do jujitsu. I could go into jujitsu and do a class.
Mhm.
The problem is when you do those things, people want you to run and they want you to engage in other things. Like so for me when I was in high school and I did wrestling practice, they would make you run too much. So I eventually quit wrestling because I'm like I couldn't run.
Mhm.
So I quit. And it's like I didn't want to quit wrestling and I would have been good at actually wrestling,
Mhm.
but they make you run so much that I quit. In football, my coach luckily didn't ever make me run, but that made me feel weird because I felt different than all the other kids. I didn't have to run with the team. I could run sprints, but I couldn't run distance.
Got it. Yeah. And so,
So
the
I don't know. I
but-
just tend to kind of shy away from things where I have
Mhm.
to run or
but
do
the
anything like
walking has
that.
definitely gotten better, right? Like, because the inflammation's down now,
It
downish.
It's weird. It goes so up and down.
Mhm.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to. It's. I try to beat it as much as I can, but then I have days like today where everything hurts, and it's just like, you don't know what to do. So it's like it goes up and down. If you ask me tomorrow, I'll be like, I feel great. I feel
Yeah.
the best I've ever felt.
But I mean, you also just got back from traveling too.
Yeah.
I don't have fake hips, but if you asked me to go walk
Yeah, but it's
after
weird.
a
I
trip,
drove to LA and back, and I felt great on the days when I did that, and I felt fine. Like I drove all the way back from LA, got here, and then I felt great, and even went for a walk when I got back up here. But then today, for no reason, I got great sleep last night. Everything was fine. I woke up today, ton of pain, and there's really nothing that sets it apart or changes it. So I'm trying to figure that stuff out.
sounds like sleep is the culprit.
I got great. Yeah, like getting good sleep is what made me hurt.
Yeah.
It just seems to be backwards, but that's why you just keep fighting and keep doing these things.
What about your lifting? You notice anything in particular with your lifting?
As far as what goes,
As far as being hurt, like having pain.
I just have to work around it. Like today we did shoulders and I just worked around it. So I just constantly work around things and try to engage in something every day that's physical and active. But it definitely sucks. Like I can't have any lifting partners. I can't really train with people because I can't do everything. So it's like I can, but they have to understand I'm going to do something completely different than they're doing.
Yeah, you got to do stuff that you feel it's going to fit. It's not gonna cost you too much to actually do it. What about like lifting heavy? Like does lifting heavy hurt?
No, I like lifting heavy because it's the one thing I can do. That's like it depends on what it is, but sort of like doing some trap bar deadlifts doesn't hurt. Doing some squats doesn't necessarily hurt.
You
It's
just kind of
weird.
think that
It's harder to walk around the block than it is to squat 500 pounds for 5 reps to me.
Do you think that you're just gonna hurt anyway, so you just decide to lift heavy, sort of thing?
Maybe. I mean, maybe that's it. But there's other things, like wearing like knee sleeves and different things that can help those things.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I like to lift, and I've been doing it for a long time. The pain part of it you get sick of it after a while. Where like today I was like, why do I have this? Like, why can't I just be normal? And you get really mad at yourself, and you get really mad at the situation, and there's like literally nothing that you can do about it. So I've just learned to deal with it.
Yeah, I just everyone's body works a little different when it comes to this stuff. So who knows, what's going on or what you have. I think you said you have arthritis, right?
Yeah, I have arthritis, and every time I go to a doctor, they like no doctor ever. I went to a doctor and said, "Look, I have arthritis. It hurts when I walk. This hurts, that hurts, everything hurts. My ankle hurts, my knee hurts." And he just like went, back and forth with my knee. Said, "Oh, your knee's fine. It's a little bit arthritic, but it's fine." Like that's all they do, and they don't do anything, you
Right.
know. And the only thing that they can do is prescribe you drugs that hurt more. So when people say, "Well, why don't you go to a doctor? Why don't you figure out what's wrong?" It's like, yeah, I've been on a bunch of doctors.
Yeah.
They don't really tell you
Well, you
anything.
had like knee surgery when you were pretty young, right? Where your knees were in tons of pain then, and they would swell up a lot and stuff too, right?
Yeah, my knees were, well, yeah, I had my knee swole up, bigger than a softball before, and they had to drain it,
Uh-huh.
and nobody ever goes like, "Oh, you have this specific issue, let's fix it," or, for example, like Michaela Peterson, she's got like autoimmune conditions, she has rheumatoid arthritis, and I don't have that according to what the doctors say. But sometimes people have rheumatoid arthritis, it doesn't show up in their blood, and so I don't know if I have something weird or different, but.
Right.
My feet, like I just know that everybody else, when they wake up in the morning, their feet don't hurt, their ankles don't hurt, their back doesn't hurt, their knees don't. Not everything on everybody else hurts. I know that, and I've had days that feel good, but they're just few and far between. So it's a matter of just dealing with it and sort of figuring these
Yeah,
things
maybe
out.
it's like part of our family or something. Because I'm in a lot of pain all the time too. My feet hurt, my back hurt. I mean, everything's like hurts, but it's not, it's not crazy.
It's not debilitating.
No, it's not like making me not want to get up or anything like that.
Yeah. How about for the movements that you do, like Chris, like squat?
Yeah.
Have you ever? Well, not obviously you have, but more recently, instead of doing the 500-pound squat, doing like 225 for a bunch of reps. Like, how does
Yeah,
that feel?
I can do things like that. That's okay.
Does that like take a toll on you too, or does it just still feel good?
I have no interest in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have no interest in like 225 for 20. I don't want to do it. So it's like, it's like, what will you do? It's the sort of same like, yeah, that's great. I like, meat's cool, but I'm not going to eat it all the time. So like, if you're not going to do the diet, then you're not, it's like, if you're not going to do something, then, I don't think it's that valuable. So to me, it's like, either do it and go heavy and do what you like to do, or like, yeah, I just don't like, I don't feel like coming in the gym and squatting with one plate. There's nothing exciting about it at all.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Like, that's just me. That's how I am.
Makes a lot of sense.
I have a hard time, and I honestly, I have a big problem, and I know it's a problem. I compare myself to everybody else, and I compare myself to not everybody else, not even that's just normal. I compare myself to people that are like the best in the world at what they do. And it makes me feel bad that I can't do what the best in the world can do, or close to it, or whatever, right? And it's like, we just shouldn't feel that way. But I do, because that's sort of the world I've always lived in.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's part of why you with 2 fake hips can still deadlift 600 pounds, because you have that mindset.
You're trying to do something that everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I tend to not give myself a break, and I'm probably my toughest critic and all that stuff too.
You definitely are, and you never do. Because you'll be looking shredded and you're like, yeah, but I got this or I got that. And I'm like, dude, come on, man. Let's celebrate like how awesome you look right now.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no.
I don't think there's any reason to celebrate, ever, unless you actually do something.
Celebrate with a steak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see much reason to celebrate unless you actually get somewhere. And then, like, do you actually ever get anywhere?
No.
Do you actually ever get anything? Like, I was talking to Mark the other day. It's like, we have these lives and we're always searching for the thing. And Mark said, I was lucky. I knew there wasn't one thing. Like, I knew there wasn't one. People go, oh, when I get this, I'll be happy. When I get that, I'll be happy. And he said he was lucky that he knew there wasn't one thing. And I said, well, I didn't know that. And I kept searching for it. And I kept trying to find it. And, with Bigger, Stronger, Faster, I thought the answer for everybody. And I said this when I was at Netflix the other day. Said, when I did it, I thought steroids were the answer. And it wasn't steroids, and then I thought, like, oh, it must be something else. It must be something else. And when I found that, meat, something as simple as your nutrition could be the answer, like, that totally turned things on its head for me.
Yeah, I still get DMs from people about like SARMs and whatnot, and my answer is like, it's I haven't really figured out the answer, but I just said, SARMs absolutely helped me on the way up.
Can they be useful? Yes.
Exactly.
Are they the thing? No.
because on the way down, what I learned was like, man, I was being lazy with my diet. And then when I got that shit at 10 out of 10, dude, it was night and day difference.
Yeah.
You know, like nutrition is, man, you can yell from the, all the rooftops and be like, it's the number one thing. It's the most important. People would be like, yeah, but what about a shortcut or
It's the
what about this?
number one thing, but also on the flip side, we were just also talking about this. It doesn't necessarily fix everything, so it can fix a lot of things, but it's not going to fix everything.
It can make just about anything better, though, I would say.
Yeah, that's fair.
It'd be hard to find stuff that it can't make better.
Puts you in a more positive environment to be fixed.
And then also, too, from like a carnivore perspective, like it's hard to like, have things just be total fact. But if we do try to stick to things like meat doesn't have a lot of properties in it that are going to mess you up. There are properties, there are things that are in vegetables that can make you gassy. There's things in vegetables that can make you bloated. There's anti-nutrients in nuts and things like that. Now, I understand also too, that's just looking at like a small subset of what some of these things actually do. And that just because they have a negative in one area doesn't mean they don't have a positive in another area. But I think a lot of people that are trying to solve mysteries for themselves with their body, especially people that just want to be in better shape, stick to meat as much as you possibly can. If you want to still eat some carbohydrate, then try to stick to carbohydrates that are going to be quote unquote clean, that aren't going to interrupt your kind of your body's natural ability to heal itself. You might want to utilize some intermittent fasting as well, because some intermittent fasting I think can go a long way. But eating things like rice and eating things like potatoes, I think potatoes are even a little bit better than rice, just because they have like kind of more nutrients and stuff. If you're someone that has a tough time with being able to eat enough food, the rice can really be nice because it can help you. It can encourage you to eat more food. But carbohydrates in general, when you have a lot of different types of carbohydrates in your diet, that encourages like too much overeating for a lot of people, and they lose control and they end up eating too much. And then we end up with people like being super confused about, why they have so many autoimmune disorders. And I mean, there's so many things that can be cured with simply finding a way to start to eliminate food. And if the carnivore diet sounds crazy to you, then you could maybe even try something like Rob Wolf's paleo solution and kind of go from there. But it just looks like, everyone's kind of leaning in deeper and deeper and harder towards basically just eating meat.
Yeah.
Meat-based diet where it's like mostly meat.
It's really simple and it's really effective, and it can help a lot of things,
You're right. What about if you were to like, hit a powerlifting meet or something like that? How do you think you would do? Like, do you think that's something that you want to maybe try? Because you have been lifting pretty heavy here and there.
Me? No, not really. There's really nothing that a powerlifting meet would do, necessarily for me. Like
just having fun, throwing around some weights here and there.
Who cares? It's like, we used to throw our trophies in the garbage, so we don't really care about that. It doesn't really matter. I can't bench anything, so to go on a powerlifting meet would be kind of stupid for me. Like, my shoulder is blown out; it hurts really bad. To go in and get like a token, like, oh, I benched 315, like when I used to do it for 10 reps, like it would feel shitty, So no matter what, I don't think a powerlifting meet would fulfill anything. I do think like something perhaps like a bodybuilding show or like men's physique or to do something like that would be different, because that's out of my comfort zone, first of all. Right. When I did Bigger, Stronger, Faster, if you would have gave me $100, $1,000 to take my shirt off in front of people, I wouldn't do it back then when I did it. Now I do it for free, But the thing is, it's like I was just always so embarrassed of that and what I looked like and all that stuff. And even though, like, I guess maybe I have injuries and things that are flawed on my body, but I feel like that would be more fun to work out than an actual injury, because it doesn't, like, my chest is kind of deformed because I tore my pec several times. My tricep and my shoulder are messed up because I've torn them several times. But it seems like it wouldn't be painful to work on those things, to try to smooth them out and make them look better, right? It wouldn't actually hurt me. And then maybe to Andrew's point, which would be a great point, 225 for 20 reps would burn the shit out of my legs and get them shredded. So maybe if it was for a different reason, right? Like you have a different, now we put a different focus on. We say, hey, Chris, get out of the gym and stop trying to be a dumb power lifter. It's not helping you go anywhere and you're not even going to compete. So why do you even care? And get your mindset on this over here. I think maybe like turning that corner and focusing on something else may make me be able to like get out
Are
of that
you in
stuff.
more pain or less pain than when you were on painkillers?
Well, more pain, obviously, because I'm I'm not taking
Well, I don't know.
anything
Obviously,
to
I mean, if
squash
you're
it.
yeah, but you're taking care of yourself in a lot of other ways. It's not counteracting.
Well, when you take, so it's hard to say because like when you actually take painkillers, when you take the pills, I used to say like the only problem is I run out.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I thought. But they do end up catching up to you and getting to be too much, and there is no real way to manage that.
What do? Do they actually block pain, or do they just make you super high and you're like unaware of what's going
A
on?
little bit of both. They block.
They can block some of the receptors.
Yeah, it blocks basically it messes with your opioid receptors, which actually interfere with the signal to the brain telling you to feel better, right? So it's basically intercepting that signal and saying like, hey, just feel better, feel good, feel this. But what they do is they stop your breathing. They slow your breathing down.
Right.
And that's the difference with like kratom. It doesn't really do that. So you can take kratom and get very similar effects without it really stopping or slowing down your breathing. That's what makes me mad is that like somebody won't go investigate. You have people like me that are in chronic pain and people don't understand why I get so mad about this, but like I'm in a lot of fucking pain. And if somebody would just take the time, money, and effort to go research something like kratom, I wouldn't be in all this pain all the time because we could make kratom that's way stronger. And
oh, yeah, maybe you can take 3 times the dose. Maybe we don't know the correct dosage yet.
well, also we'd have to do some things to it to make it stronger, but you could do things to make it stronger without it being addictive. And I think that the fact that nobody's doing that kind of stuff is really egregious in this country. Those are things that we should be definitely looking into.
Were you in less pain when you weren't lifting as heavy? Because you didn't start lifting heavy until like more recently.
I don't know. It's hard to tell because like, I mean,
have you had a combination of having like a good diet in place, having some good sleep? One of the things that I was taught by James Smith was you can't change your tissues unless you're willing to change yourself. So like you can't come in here and annihilate yourself and then expect there not to be, consequences of it. And especially like, I don't know, like for me, I was coming off like a torn pec. And he's like, if you want your pec to like get back to where it needs to be, you need to stop doing the things that are offending it in the first place and keeping it screwed up.
Yeah, I've had long periods of time where I haven't lifted at all and I still feel like shit.
But maybe lifting at all, maybe that's not a great idea. Maybe just, but I don't know. Have you tried lifting lighter and being on carnivore? Have you?
Well, yeah, I did that kind of all last year, like the whole last year. And like I said, it's hit or miss. It feels good once in a while. Like I feel good once in a while. When I get it totally nailed and I can say, hey, I'm out of pain completely. I got this nailed completely. That's when we're really onto something, But until then, I got to keep saying like, yeah, it's okay. Helps with pain. Kratom helps with pain. Carnivore helps a lot with pain. Did they fix it 100%? Not yet. And when it does, and then I'll be sure to tell everybody. But I'm not going to go around saying like, this will get you out of pain 100%. Totally. I say, like I posted something about it yesterday. Maybe this is what you need.
Yeah.
But maybe
I don't know
it's
how
not.
normal it is for people to be out of pain 100% anyway. I remember I went to a Kelly Starrett seminar and he said the human body is designed to live 100 years and the human body is designed to be pain-free. And I was like, what on my body doesn't hurt right now? And I was like, oh, wait, I think my forearms don't hurt. And then I was like, no, they kind of hurt too.
Yeah.
I'm like, I haven't anything that hasn't hurt, since the time I started training. But I will say this too, I'll say this as well, is that a lot of people that I know that like I, went to school with and stuff that are similar age, they're like in tons of pain. They never done anything.
Yeah.
They never pushed their body anywhere, So I think a lot of people are in a lot of pain, kind of regardless of what you do. And then if you eat like shit, then that's very clear that you're probably going to have some issues. But there's probably some people that eat like crap that have less pain, and there's people that exercise that have pain. There's people that have different types of pain, stiffness, soreness.
Have you ever heard of ibogaine?
I have heard of it. Yeah,
It's really interesting.
I'm on it right now.
I'm really interested in looking into that. So that also helps people get off of heroin and opioids within 24 hours. Usually, actually, people take it. It's a Schedule I drug in this country. It's highly legal, highly dangerous. However, we've been seeing a lot of people doing research on it, and we have seen in some of the research that actually can reset your pain receptors. And if it can actually do that, and I have somebody that deals with it all the time and would like me to try it, and I'm considering trying it. And if I try it and it can do that to pain receptors, I think that we're dealing with something like really serious and really interesting. What he means by resetting pain receptors is just that, like, my knee, like every time I go to get out of a chair, I'm going to brace my knee almost because I know it's going to hurt when I stand up. But then if I stand up and it doesn't hurt, I'm like, whoa, that didn't even hurt. And that's kind of what happens is like a lot of these things where you're normally going to brace because you think you're going to have pain, and you won't have pain in those situations, and you actually just keep getting better and better. So to me, that's really interesting if you could reset pain receptors. But however, I don't know if it's true or not yet. We have to do the research. We have to dive in.
Is that safe though? Because like, is pain, like it sends a signal for a reason, right? Like if we just got like what's the shot that they do in football? It just like numbs everything.
Cortisone.
If we just like gave you a cortisone shot every single time, and then what happens? Like
I'm talking about resetting your pain receptors so that they don't recognize the previous trauma, but it'll recognize future trauma. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like you're resetting the receptors.
Sort
so okay, so say your knee hurts right now, and I go, boom, wave the magic wand. Your receptors are reset. When you go to stand up, well, you're not going to go to brace your knee because it's not going to hurt. You're just going to stand up,
I see
right?
What you're saying now, yeah.
But then if you go in and you smash your knee in the gym, then you're going to feel that, and you're going to continue to feel it from then on.
Okay.
But then each time you do the iboga, you're resetting the pain receptors. Now, like I said, I don't know how much this is told to me by a shaman that uses this. Hasn't been something that I've vetted out scientifically yet. So I'm working on looking into it more scientifically. If people are interested in ibogaine or iboga, there is a really interesting Vice documentary. It's on YouTube for free. It's like an hour long, and it shows people going through this iboga ritual, but they mainly talk about it for getting off opioids.
Well, I mean, you're already calling it iboga, so I think you're in. you're
in the inner circle.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, iboga is the shrub or the bush, right? It's called iboga, and then ibogaine is the actual drug name of it, I guess.
Pretty rare to find bushes these days.
They shave them all off, I know.
They got rid of all of them.
Yeah.
They misappeared. I'm trying to think of, like, I guess, like my kids, I haven't really heard them talk about any sort of weird pain. But like my wife's in pain, I'm in pain. Like I think everyone's got a little something. But I guess it maybe just depends on the degree.
I think it's different when it comes to walking. I think like mobility, like, so my feet really hurt right now just standing here. They kill.
Right.
My knees kill standing here. It sucks to stand here. Like I don't want to be, my back hurts. I don't want to be standing here. I'd rather be sitting down. Right. So like that's what I'm talking about. It's like 90% of the time you'd rather be sitting down. That pain kind of sucks because it just makes you a sitting down loser, you know?
Yeah, it's a chronic pain that you have to kind of fight against all the time. What if like just training lighter? What if something would help? Would you try to do it for a while? Like, would you give it like, I don't know. I see you work out all the time, and I'm seeing you like doing some of these heavy weights, and I'm just like, why? Like, why? Just why? I know why. I understand why.
I don't think that's what's doing anything though. I guess because I do that and I feel fine when I do it. I feel like I just have pain. Like for example, my shoulder pain has nothing to do with me deadlifting or squatting anything. Any amount of that I bench, that I squat or deadlift, why would that affect my shoulder to the point where I can't lift it up over my head?
Right, but your shoulder's hurt for a decade or so, and you injured it or something, right? You tore something,
5 or 6 years,
tricep or something like that, and some.
Yeah, and so it kills, you know, and I can't do things with my upper body. But then the things that I do with my lower body, like squat and deadlift and stuff like that, my knee hurts. So my knee will hurt sometimes really bad, and when I go and squat and deadlift, it actually starts feeling better. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to do.
Didn't you tweak your knee doing a deadlift, or no?
Was
it already hurt?
It's always hurt.
Oh, okay.
You know, and then I tweaked it more doing a heavy deadlift. Right. Yes, I think you can get hurt lifting, obviously.
Do you think some of it has to do with just like surgeries? Like you had surgery on your knees when you were young, and maybe that has kind of always set everything off a little bit. Maybe that's where a lot of the pain. Like, do you think you needed surgery when you were, I don't know, teenager or whatever it was?
Probably not, but I don't think that surgery did much. It was just an arthroscopic knee
Mm.
surgery. I just think I haven't found good doctors that have any clue what's going on
Yeah.
with me, like pain wise.
Right.
I've never found anybody that's like said, you know what, this is what's going on with you. Like
Mm.
nobody ever knows. It's always
Right.
up in the air, you know.
It's always a guess. Doctors always like, oh, you tweaked something. You're like, yeah, I know that. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I
But
came to that conclusion too.
But I think the kind of pain that I'm in, like the fact that my shoulder hurts, but it doesn't heal. I think there's bigger problems going on, you know, and I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. I think that, when you tear something though, it's not gonna, it definitely won't grow back. And some of the stuff with like stem cells and some of the stuff, like I've had stuff like that done, and I don't think it does anything. I don't think there's any hope when it comes to a lot of these things. I think what we
There's
mentioned earlier,
literally
about,
no scientific evidence that stem cells work at all.
yeah, I don't think
There's
it-
none. There's zero. Like they work. There's a couple things that they work for and that they're approved for. I forget even what it's approved for. Like one thing, and then it just does not work for anything else. Like CBD, it works for one thing. It works for
Right.
seizures in children. Doesn't do anything for pain. Doesn't do anything for anxiety. Anything for depression. Not that a study says. Not that can be proven by science.
Would you maybe say that like a painkiller is just like a huge distraction in some weird way? Like someone's depressed, and then you're like, hey, dude, here's $2,000.
Yeah,
Do you think it's kind of like that?
in a way.
It's
even,
like a temporary, you're like, oh, cool. And then the next day you're back to being fucking
I'd
depressed.
even say something like kratom is like that too.
Yeah.
Because
Takes you on a little ride.
even though it's natural, it's just distracting you from the pain. It's not actually healing the pain.
Oh, some painkillers are probably fairly natural too, right? I don't know anything about
No,
them.
not really. I mean, aspirin is
synthetic? Okay.
made from like white willow bark, and that's about it. And then everything else is going to be pretty much synthetic. But I think that, what was the question? Yeah.
Just, like it is, a painkiller, maybe just like a distraction.
Yeah, distraction. Yeah, I think totally. It's just bringing you further away from the pain, but the pain is still going to be there unless you do something to fix it. The problem is, I don't know what to do to fix it yet, and I just haven't figured that out yet.
So Crypto Guns asks if you've tried a trigger point specialist, but like,
Yeah, a million of them.
you're okay. So I was gonna
All
ask,
of
like,
them.
what kind of like, body work have you gotten
Everything.
done?
Yeah,
Literally.
pretty much everything. Yeah,
And
and
he's had quite a bit
I
of that
go to
work
a
done.
guy now that does like ART and different, kind of all those different kind of things. So I've been to all of that stuff. None of that's really helped. The things that really help are just practical, easy things like sitting in a hot tub helps. Stuff like that. Those are things that really tend to move the needle.
Because they relax you.
Yeah,
Like you're just chilling.
Yeah, it's like, well, you're in pain. You go sit in a hot tub. It gets better. Kratom really helps for the time being, right? It gets you out of the pain, and then you can continue to do whatever. But what I like to tend to do is like take kratom and then warm up and start doing a workout, and then my whole body will feel good for a while. After I do like a workout.
I love Mind Bullet, but I haven't really noticed any alleviation in pain from it though.
You have to take a lot of it.
That
I
would
think that's
explain a lot.
I
then.
take 6 to 8 capsules at least at a time, so I've never
Got
felt
it.
anything for pain relief with 2 capsules either, because I've never taken that little amount.
Yeah,
so
I
don't
only
know.
take like 3, but that's just to get work done. So
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
it's hard because like we can't give out dosing information. We can't tell people like what to take or whatever.
Yeah.
But in my experience,
Yeah, we
with
just say take
kratom-
1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, because that's what you have to say. But in my experience with kratom, you take a good amount of it, and it really helps with pain.
Especially if you have, some severe pain going on, Have you like messed around with like I don't know, say doing like 3 to 5 things for yourself each day towards being in less pain? Like trying to lift a certain way, trying to stretch. You see a lot of people kind of like foam rolling and doing some stretching and
It's
some
really
different things, mobility
frustrating because
stuff.
when you're in pain, there's not a lot that you can do that's comfortable, that gets you out of pain, that doesn't suck really bad to do. So it's like, well, what is it that'll make you feel out of pain, And some things are simple that you can do, like even just like when I wake up, my back is so stiff,
Mm-hmm.
and if I just sit propped up against a wall for like 5 minutes, that does insane things to fix the amount of pain, like just sitting up against a wall with my back straight. But how many times, but that's kind of a pain in the ass and not something you often do. So a lot of times, like I forget to do these things that are really easy that can get you out of pain.
Right.
And I think that I need to remember to do some of them, because some of them are really easy, just like that, like sitting up against a wall or doing something like that. But I kind of like try all day to get out of pain. Like I try different things all the time to try to alleviate pain. Nothing really works all that well, you know?
Yeah, and it's hard when you're in pain because it's hard to get momentum.
Well, you just don't feel like doing anything.
Right.
I think that's something that people need to recognize.
What if you came in here and did like, you see like Sully and some of those guys warm up, or the way like Filipino Thunder used to warm up, he would roll and fucking do all this stuff all day. And it's a pain in the ass and it sucks. But do you have any hope that some of those things would assist? Like a lot of athletes do it. Like I don't do it because I don't fucking care. I just want to work out. But I probably should. It's probably still be in my best interest. I'd probably still be in less pain, and I'd probably be a little bit more mobile.
If I just came in and rolled around and moved around and stuff?
Yeah, just, did like, I don't know, like you see people, they take like a step and then they grab their knee and they fucking pick it up, and just, you'll see Sully sometimes, he's up against the wall and he's got his like feet up and he's getting like his hamstrings are like stretching, or Smokey will lay down with a band
This
and
is going to
stretch things
sound
and move
so
stuff.
messed up, but Luke Hawks came in here the other day and he said,
He did?
I never see you warm up. You just go 1 plate, 2 plates, 3 plates, 4 plates, 5 plates, and then you leave. And I said, I know, because if I do the stuff, like if I come in here an hour early and I come in here to roll around for an hour, I'm exhausted after an hour and I need to go home. And
But
so,
what if that's the answer though?
well, then then I wouldn't be I don't think I'd be in good shape, but I think that,
Well, if it's exhausting, maybe you would be.
I'm just saying, like I'm in pain from doing, like I can't be when I'm on my feet for a long time, I'm in pain. So for me, if I come in, I kind of bounce, it's like bounce around for an hour and do these things. I just won't feel like lifting anything after an hour. I'll be like, well, I'm kind of spent. I'm done, And so I don't know. I like to lift, so I come in and lift. I don't know. Maybe it's part of my meathead mentality. And I'm stuck in it,
Yeah, maybe after that, that solid warm up, you will look at 225 or 315 on the squat and be like, yeah, that will, that's my limit for today. And you maybe just
Do you know what I mean by it doesn't excite me though? Like,
just
I don't
maybe
care.
on that day when you're like, you know what, I did a lot of shit for my body, and now I'm gonna go still crush some weight that not everybody can do. Don't care what your little brother can squat that day.
Yeah.
Don't care what whoever else is in the gym that day. But like, yeah, what if, like Mark said, like what if that is, it's a baby step, right? You're probably not going to feel a difference if you did that for the next like 3 months, but then eventually maybe.
It's a little bit like trying to get somebody momentum with their food, Like it's a lot of work. Like we all know it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for little to no reward. And what if you do it for a month and you get no reward? Like what if you tried the carnivore diet and you didn't lose 1 pound?
I think a lot of people experience that.
You're going to fucking give up.
They get mad and they go off of it.
I tried the keto diet like the Bells said, or I tried the carnivore diet like they said, and I didn't lose anything. And you're like, fuck, man, I didn't learn nothing. I didn't make any more progress. I'm not any further ahead. And it pisses you off, like I'm not doing anything to help my reading issues. I'm not reading, and it's just like, I will, I do, on occasion, but could I make that part of my, daily routine to where I bring that up a little bit, and maybe it would assist me. Maybe it would make me happier. Maybe it would make me smarter. Maybe it would make me stronger. Maybe it would help me with relationships. Maybe it would help me with all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Is there? It's
like I don't want to fucking read.
Why do you think you don't do it? Because you don't.
Because I'm not good at it.
It doesn't excite you. It's not
the same reason why I don't stretch. I'm not good at it. It doesn't. Jeff. It's like Jeff. That worked here. He's going to stretch all day because he can be like, hey, check this out and check this out. Hey, did I show you guys this? Hey, what about this?
Quit showing off.
Right. And, so it's very difficult to gain momentum towards the things that you're not pumped about. Mark Cuban talks about it, and he says, like, people try to talk about doing things you're passionate about. And he's like, I don't think you should worry about really what you're passionate about. I think you should do shit that you love, the things that you love to do and things you like to do. He's like, that's probably where the things that you like to do is probably already where you're spending your time. So it's easier to turn that into a thing, not necessarily monetary every time, but it's easier to turn that into a thing. You were into some technical aspects, videography, taking pictures. You were into music, rap, audio, and then it's like, what connects on there? And it's like this connected like 75 different ways, right? And it's like, boom, it just smashed all together. You know?
But when it comes to reading and your abilities, or whatever, lack of, I guess we'll say, but is there any?
Well, now I can't see, which is perfect.
That helps. But is there anything preventing you from getting better at it?
No, just not practicing it enough.
Yeah. So the first time that I seen you in person, you doing your speech, and you said something that like totally clicked in my head that no one ever had said before. Nobody ever told me that it was possible. But you're like, everybody possesses the ability to get stronger. No one had ever. I mean, obviously you were talking to a crowd, but nobody ever told me something like that. And I posted this on our Instagram the other day. Like, yeah, you right now, everybody listening right now, you have the ability to get stronger. And it's not just in the gym, but so that's why it's saying, there's nothing that's stopping you right now from becoming better at reading.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So in any aspect,
you take ownership of it, you know, and then like, like, I don't know, like you try to think about like, I probably don't even know what it could possibly do for me. You know what I mean? There's probably some things that it could do for me that I would agree with everybody and say, that actually would be super cool. But I'm not into reading enough to even get momentum to the point of like enjoying it. But I also admittedly don't ever try it enough. And it could be similar with like, mobility work. Could be similar with somebody for diet where they're like, I've tried everything. And you're like, no, you haven't really tried everything. Because if you tried everything, you wouldn't be fat anymore. If you tried everything, you would be able to read better. If you like, have you ever tried to not eat for a week? Like, I know it sounds irrational, but have you ever tried it? You ever tried to not eat anything for 1 week? And if you tried that and you still didn't lose any weight, then maybe you have tried everything, but that would be really rare. I think people have to take ownership of it and say, you know what, these are things that, I would like to improve upon these things. How do I improve upon these things? Okay, can I afford to do 2 or 3 things for this every day, even if I fucking hate it?
Yeah, I think
that makes it hard.
Yeah. And so I think like for me, like a physical book is like, the stretching, the warm up, and then the audio book is just going in and going heavy. Which one do I gravitate towards right away? Right. So I think that's kind of like what you're saying, right? Bor, like, why am I going to waste all this time to be bad at something when I can just go jump to the thing that I'm already thriving in?
Yeah, I already like it. I'm already good at it. And it's also like really the work. Like the hard work. The hard work isn't the 1 plate, 2 plate warm up. The hard work is the 5 plate. So I want to get right there, do that, and then I'm done.
Mentally, it's taxing as hell though.
What is? Putting
on the 1 plate and then going for like 25 reps.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That kills.
Yeah, you don't want to do it.
You don't want to. Yeah. So it's just a different type of work.
I remember seeing Matt Vincent, years ago. Like, just he would show all his warm ups and he'd show all the shit that he did, and he's a 2-time Highland Games champion and stuff like that. And I was always like, man, like that guy he just deserves that. He deserves to fucking win those championships, because like I would never do any of that shit. Like, I don't mind loading up a bunch of weight. I don't mind sticking needles in my arm. I don't mind eating whatever I need to eat. And while I say that I'll do any and everything to get better, I'm a liar. I'm not 100% committed to any one thing. I do like to commit myself on certain things and hone in and focus and try to be as successful as I feel is like reasonable. But once it starts to become too unreasonable, then I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, well, it makes it hard, right? Like, if you don't want to do something, it becomes impossible.
Right.
Literally impossible.
Right. And again, like, if you're trying to get momentum towards something, then you just got to figure out like what is something that you could do. Maybe for some, and that's why I always promote walking. It's like, maybe you can get movement with some walking. But as Ethan has laid out to us before, and as Keto Gains has laid out to us before on this podcast, it's when you're that heavy and you're in tons of pain and it's a thing to get up when you're 500 pounds, then it's just going to be it's just gonna be insurmountable. You're gonna be like, fuck that, I'm not doing that shit. But I still think that you got to figure out a way to do it.
Mhm.
You know, and I don't know. I don't always know how. I don't have all the answers on how you can do it. But if you can find something to get you momentum in that direction, it could be your food, it could be your sleep, it could be your exercise, it could be find some activity or something that you can grab a hold of.
And it might not be very welcoming either, right? Like there'll be some resistance to it.
It might suck.
It most likely will suck. Yeah.
Gonna go see a movie?
Gonna go see Fantastic Fungi.
Oh my god! Did you get tickets already?
Yeah, I got tickets. You want to go? There you
Dang.
go.
Yeah, I think so.
It's at 6:00.
Oh my
I'm gonna
god!
go with Sheldon.
Yeah, we should get out of here and eat some food. Jake's always asking a lot of questions about that, so it'd be good to get high with him and bring him to that.
Let's take him to that.
You can't say that on air.
He would love
I
it.
think I can.
You know what though?
He's of
Honestly,
age. No, I
honestly,
think it's fine.
like what
No,
a smart,
education's smart. You know?
what a smart thing. Like as a father, your son is just turned 16, like, and now he's getting into the point where he will deal with mental health issues and all the things that come with being a teenager and growing up and all that.
Yeah.
Right? So like, what if you do see this movie and say, you know what, that would actually be okay for my son to do if he ever needs it, right? Like just to know about it and be educated about it. I think it's a really smart move, and I think
Yeah.
more people need to educate. Like, so while some people might go, "That's crazy," you couldn't, it's
Does Joe Rogan use, some of these things? Like,
Mhm.
do people admire and look up to Joe Rogan? We know Joe Rogan a little bit. We don't know him that well, but does he seem like a really good dude?
Yeah.
Does he seem like he cares about humanity and cares about other people? Kyle Kingsbury is like one of our favorite people. Does he live a different life than we do? Yeah, sure
Yeah.
he does. But
he's also always happy.
yeah. Well, and he's a former fucking cage fighter who's had like he has had a difficult life, but you're right. He's happy. He's excited about every day. And we know people that Aubrey Marcus, right? I mean, we know people that I'm not promoting the products either, but like I never think of them as a big deal. I actually think that, some of the best music, some of the best art, some of the best things that this country's ever had have come from people being high or drunk. Who knows? Like the United States Constitution and all the great rules and laws that were amended in that, hundreds of years ago, which they haven't fucking changed hardly any of them since that point. Those guys were probably loaded. Those guys are probably drinking, those guys are probably doing something.
Makes a lot of sense that animals are our food and plants are our medicine. If you look at these plant medicines and all the things that they're doing to help people, it's incredible. Stacks up.
Where can people find you, Andrew?
You guys can hit me up on Instagram. I'm trying to get active again. I've been focused on the podcast so much that I haven't posted anything, but it's at I am Andrew Z. But please make sure you're following the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project. That's on Instagram. And then one thing really, really quick, we asked you guys to help us out with ratings and reviews on iTunes. You guys have responded. Somebody I want to give a quick shout out to is Tomcat81. He says, love this show. Quote, kind of love and hate this show. Oh, wait a second. Just kidding. I always used to jam out to music on the commute to and from work. Now I'm addicted, learning a lot about stuff I never knew. I get to listen to some crazy poop stories. On a serious note, this show has taught me some things that I utilize not only in fitness, but in life too. Tomcat81, thank you so much. If you guys listening right now, if you want to hear your name and your review read on air, go to iTunes right now, drop us a rating and review, and you could hear your name on air just like Tomcat81. Christopher Bell, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how can they do so?
I'm on Instagram at Big Strong Fasted, and people can just hit me up there.
There you
Oh,
go.
Twitter.
God.
all that good stuff.
Actually, people didn't see this image that you had sent me, Mark. I have to post this up.
Tail the tape.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, who do you guys got? You never said.
Oh, Nsima all the way, especially if it's not drug tested.
What round, bro?
I haven't even watched like
Yeah,
a
do they
legit,
have- yeah.
like I don't have any idea. Like the only jiu-jitsu that I know of is just like what happens in the UFC, and even then I just have to pay attention to what Rogan's saying.
I'm going to go with Chad Wesley Smith on this one, and I'm just
Oh.
never going to come here again.
Yeah,
No, I'm
that's
just kidding.
what would happen, right?
I'm kidding, Nsima.
Every time you see Nsima, you just kind of like walk the other way.
I'm just messing with him.
Real quick, Nsima actually did text me. He said he sent me a link. I didn't double check it, but about Tom Segura going full carnivore as well now too.
Sick.
Oh yeah, so Tom Segura is going full carnivore, and he had massive, massive diarrhea, and he texted Joe Rogan and said, "This diarrhea is amazing." He was like, "Astounding," he said.
You know what though? I actually think that.
And they wanted to come up with a new name for it. Dr. Baker put up a contest.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what
And
that
somebody
was.
came up with carnorrhea, which I thought was that was like the first comment. I thought carnorrhea is a great name. Whoever
That
came
is
up with
pretty
that, that's
good.
a great one.
Kind of sounds like a Mexican recipe.
Yeah, carnorrhea by Andrew Zaragoza.
Carne asada, carneria. I'll take it.
The you know, I actually I experienced that like a couple times doing a carnivore diet, and I actually, it's gross, but like I actually felt like it was like helpful.
Yeah, it
Like,
blows it out.
It blows everything out. I mean, people take dieters tea, right, to like help blow it out, and that like makes you have crazy diarrhea. So it's inconvenient. It's not fun. You can't trust a fart for a little while, but it usually goes away pretty quickly.
I also find if people avoid coffee and cream and MCT oil and things like that in their transition,
It can really help a lot.
yeah, it really helps. And avoid cheese, anything that you can blow out. Don't eat it with your meat.
Yeah.
Just eat red meat and water. Be really strict on that. I think that helps a lot.
Also, too, out of nowhere, eating 300 grams of protein when you're used to only eating like 100 is a huge change. And then eating tons of fat out of nowhere is
A really
huge
good
change.
way in is kind of fast yourself in, or eat like one or two meals. Like eat a little bit less a day when you're first diving in, so you don't have such massive diarrhea.
Yeah, and then also just a little bit of some more information on like a carnivore style diet. You're eating whatever meats that you want. That could include everything from bacon to sausage to chicken to whatever. People make a big deal about eating chicken. I don't think it fucking matters. Eat whatever meat that you want. Get comfortable with the food. Get used to it. Don't worry about fasting if you're just starting out on the diet. It's always something you can adjust to later. You got eggs, you got bone broth, you got butter. Again, if you're just starting it, like maybe it's not a great idea to introduce a crazy amount of fat. So take your time with it and get used to it. And then I hear people saying like, oh man, my energy, like I didn't have enough to get through a workout. Well, just eat more. People, when they get on a diet, they're always trying to eat a lot less, and they're weighing shit, and they're trying to be methodical with it, and they're just not eating enough. If you're only eating once or twice a day and you're not used to dieting and you're only eating a little bit of meat, like that ain't going to work. You got to really get in a lot of food. Make sure you're getting in some salt. You can just salt your foods if you want. You can take it a step further and throw some salt in some of your water and stuff like that. If you want to take it a step further, you can go to perfectketo.com and you can check out all the great products they have on that website, including they have a electrolyte capsule that you can take a couple of those every day, and that can help. You have sodium, potassium, shit like that is in there. But again, it's if you're feeling like exhausted and you're feeling messed up, a lot of times it's your sleep, a lot of times it's your training, and it's not always necessarily your diet. And also, like if you have like headaches or some of these weird things that people experience, it's usually just an adjustment away from the carbohydrates more so than it is an adjustment with the meat. Day number 38, World Carnivore Month, or World Carnivore, Carnivore 100. I've been, kind of made a new challenge to a lot of people. A lot of people have been following along with that. Really appreciate it. You can go to my Facebook page and you can check out some stuff over there. Mark Bell's Carnivore Challenge. You can also check out markbell.com if you want to follow along for the way that I'm lifting and the way that I'm living and the way that I'm lifting and doing nutrition and all that shit. You can go over there and check all that out. In addition to that, you can check out my Instagram, which is at Mark Smelly Bell, and I'm putting up a vlog every single day on my YouTube channel. It is a giant pain in the dick, but I'm getting it out there for you guys. Hopefully you're enjoying it. We're seeing more and more views all the time, so that is much appreciated. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch y'all later.